Funding for this video series was made possible by the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture's Beginning Farmer and Rancher Development Program.
I'm Jacob Thomas, owner of Jet Produce and Meats. Why Jet? It's my initials, Jacob Edward Thomas. I grew up on a farm right here. This is my family farm. And I've been farming now since 2012 as a full-time career. We grew up raising cattle and pigs, as well as corn, soybeans, and hay. I went to Iowa State University, graduated in December of 2013. Came back to the family farm and decided I wanted to take it in a little bit different direction. And so I decided to start growing vegetables. First year, we grew about half an acre, and I couldn't believe how well they sold. I couldn't believe people would actually stop at the side of the road and buy this stuff. Following year, we scaled up a little bit, went to farmers markets, and I remember the day. It's probably my fourth or so market, so it's middle of June, maybe early July. And I came home from market and I looked at my dad and I said, "Dad, I need your help next week." I said, "I was so busy at farmer's market, I just couldn't keep up on my own." And so he said, "Sure thing, I'll be there next Saturday to help you." So he came down that next Saturday, and I remember when we got slammed right about 10 o'clock in the morning, he's like, "Oh my goodness. You weren't kidding. This is crazy. There really is something to this." And so when he came back home that day, he said, "You're right. This is what we need to do. This is how we're going to make our farm profitable and how we're going to make a living." And since then, really haven't looked back. We just keep growing, trying to meet the demand that we had last year and weren't able to satisfy for one reason or another. And that's just seen us grow to where we are now, where we have 12 acres of vegetables. And to think just 7 years ago, we had half an acre and an acre. Amazing how things have changed in such a short time. The crops that we are going to talk about today are the various brassica crops, broccoli and cauliflower. This year, we produced about 3,000 pounds of broccoli and about 1,000 pounds of cauliflower. Primarily in this area, our produce is sold through farmers markets as well as an on-farm retail store. There are some opportunities with wholesaling. One that I'm a part of is called Kansas City Food Hub. There are also opportunities direct with grocery stores. I have worked with Price Chopper in the past, Ball's Foods. They've been very great to work with. The hardest part is always just having it be a high enough quantity at the right times when they need it. So we produce our brassicas in both protected culture and a high tunnel, as well as in outdoor open field settings. When we grow them in the high tunnel, we do it primarily at the very earliest in spring. So we're talking about starting those seeds in mid-January. In our case, it's a heated greenhouse, sort of like the one we're in now, or if you're just beginning, it can be your inside your house. Those plants are ready to go out into the high tunnel, planted in the ground, usually by March 1st. You might still have a few nights below freezing or just right at freezing, but brassicas are really hardy in that respect and they don't mind a few frosts. So when we plant that early, that gives us broccoli that's ready to harvest in early to mid-May, and cauliflower kind of same time frame there. We use that in conjunction then with planting outdoors, and we plant outside on April 1st. So the ones planted outside in April, they usually start maturing around June 1st. And if we continue planting every other week, we can plant all the way through June 1st. And that gives us a crop to harvest all the way through August 1st. You'll find that everything is better picked first thing in the morning. Broccoli has to be first thing in the morning. If you pick it when it gets too warm outside, too sunny, it goes limp, and once it's limp, it does not firm back up. With our indoor crop of broccoli, we found that we have to harvest it twice a week. Everything inside of a high tunnel grows so much faster than anything outside because it's the perfect environment. About 60 days after planting it, the main head of broccoli is ready to harvest. We go through, and usually within two pickings, all of the heads are ready. They're fairly uniform in maturity, and that's great. Then we let the plants sit there for a week or two, and something cool happens. They start sending up new little side shoots from just below the leaves. We've had some of those side shoots that rival the main head in their size. We've had side shoots 4 inches across. Once that starts happening, we're still in the high tunnel, we're talking twice a week picking, but we can get 2 or 3 times the total pounds off a plant by picking those side shoots versus if we just picked the main head alone and then threw the plant away. When we go to our outdoor production, kind of similar thing. We actually look at once a week, just because the outdoor crops tend to grow a little bit slower, and for the most part, our outdoor broccoli doesn't produce good side shoots. So we try on the very earliest varieties, but don't even try on the later ones. Cauliflower is the most particular one. It is very tricky and doesn't ripen or mature uniformly. So you almost have to walk every row every week to see what is going on. Since our tractor has a front end loader on it, we can put pallet forks on it and help carry a pallet with us. Since we planted everything with that tractor, all of our row spacing is set up for that tractor to be able to drive down the row without hurting any plants, which makes it then really handy when it comes to harvest time. So we're able to have one person on the tractor and 2 or 3 people in the field. We use these really neat knives that have a kind of straight blade, and then they kind of angle off with a 45-degree angle with another straight part. And that allows you to then plunge the knife in from the side, and it cuts the heads off cleanly. Having the tractor with those pallet forks and the pallet on it, you're just filling it up on there, you just keep stacking up on there, you drive to the end of the row, and then you can unload it into a truck or take it back to your cooler or something. We have a walk-in refrigerator. We built it ourselves. Just take some good foam board type insulation, and then we utilize what's called a cool bot. So our walk-in refrigerator on a typical day is about 35 degrees. It's important that after harvesting you get them put in that refrigerator kind of as quickly as possible. Things like broccoli and cauliflower, once they chill down, you're looking at a 2 to 3 week storage life. Cauliflower, you can harvest it basically any size, so long as you harvest it before they call them curds instead of beads, start to open and spread. They also get kind of a rice appearance. They kind of look like they go from being these cool little fluffy white clouds to grains of rice. Another issue with cauliflower is a lot of times it tries to yellow in our area because even though they're mostly self-wrapping varieties, they don't always wrap in completely, but it disappears when you cook it. In wholesale, they really want consistency, and it can be a little different, maybe week to week, but everything in that box has to be the same. And really, if you can have it the same every week, that's best. It's important to not let dirt get on the crops. Dirt is inherently full of bacteria. So if when you're cutting off cabbage fruit, say, and you go a little too far, maybe you end up with the knife in the ground, you can wipe the knife on your jeans to get the blade back clean again. That's better than rubbing mud on the next head. Once they're harvested, again, they never touch the ground. We learned that it didn't take twice as long to plant and harvest 200 feet as it did 100 feet. It maybe only took 20% more time. And that just kind of holds true with a lot of things. Is to a certain point, the more you plant, the more efficient you become. And so it can be really nice to work with a wholesale market to take large volumes of stuff if you have the land and you have the labor. The most important thing though with any of the wholesale markets is just good communication, honesty, and then that quality. I mean, if you stand behind your product and you're proud of the product you're sending out, people are going to love it.